Welcome everyone. Today was a very special day because the Swiss phase of Worlds started and Dom1 Gaming played versus Fnatic in their first round. And ShowMaker locked in Leblanc and he gave us an absolute clinic on laning on Leblanc, especially when it comes to ability usage and micro. So that's exactly what we're going to be taking a look at. He played against Fnatic Humanoid. It was in the end a pretty close series because Dom1, just as Fnatic, struggles with closing out leads. And we get a little bit of shenanigans going on here early in the sense that we're also having some lane swaps going on. So this is some of the trends that are happening with the current world patch, is that there's some lane swaps. And in this case, ShowMaker does a really good job adapting towards this lane swap in the sense that he manages his minion wave really well. Very sexy trading combo there with his auto attack, W auto attack onto Humanoid. And he's already building a pretty small lead. What we're going to do today is we're going to just review ShowMaker's game. We're going to see what he does well so we can learn from it, take it away, copy it in our own games, and eventually become a better player ourselves. Of course, he also makes some mistakes. I'm definitely going to call him out. He may just be the best Leblanc in the world, but still, there's some improvements because this champ is definitely pretty tricky. So far so good. He does a really good job proccing his electrocute. He went for a little bit of a two-wave crash, mainly because that allows him to get many trading windows onto the Yone, and you see right here onto the third wave. Humanoid slightly disrespects, gets a QW out attack to the face, and ShowMaker in this case is really, look at his positioning. He's standing very far up, and in this case, he's pretty bad W at the end right there. But he does a pretty good job at going for his abilities whenever Yone overextends or whenever Yone gives him an opportunity to go for these trades. That's when ShowMaker takes it. He also makes sure that the wave is never really stuck on Humanoid's side, but it's always like someone in a decent spot so he can at least W forward. And in this case, he did a fantastic job going for a WEQ trade, forcing out Humanoid's flash, making him scared. I don't think Humanoid would have died to the combo, but yeah, like ShowMaker knows what he's doing. Went for a fantastic trade, got out Yone's flash, and puts him in an amazing position. The downside of this matchup is that Yone, of course, has second wind, D-shield, fleet, potion, everything he has in the pocket. So the problem is that like it can be sometimes very tricky to like win the war of attrition. The benefit is in this particular matchup is that we are a burst-oriented champion, which does deny some of the regeneration from Yone, as long as we play around our own abilities well. So ShowMaker decides to stay a little bit longer in the lane right here, mainly to actually get that extra bit of gold that he needs for his item. So let's see what he rocks up with. He rocks up with a refillable potion, glowing mode, and M-Tome. Not the best, not the worst. You see that Yone is very smart. He actually goes for no magic mantle, really preventing the burst from that ShowMaker is able to put out. This is something that you're going to be seeing a lot in your solo queue games, is that this Yones will actually do not do that, and then you're going to get into positions where you're going to just absolutely nuke the Yone, especially when we're rocking into level 6. So ShowMaker right here goes for a little bit of a slow push. And this is fantastic, right? Because look how aggressive that he can stand. He can deny Yone experience. Because if Yone gets too close, what's going to happen? He's just going to nuke the Yone. So I love this aggressive posturing. And that's why slow building is so unbelievably good on Leblanc as well. Making sure that he gets all the creeps. And you see that he's slowly rocking up a very minimal CS advantage. And if we can keep this going, right, this slow advantage, denying Yone these creeps, and if we can be hitting all of our creeps ourselves, eventually we're going to be able to rock into a small CS advantage, which is what we're going to be able to leverage into snowballing this game. We do a really good job at hitting our CS itself. What we do very nicely is that we constantly hit the creeps that are getting targeted by our caster minions. That's how you CS really well, guys. If you're struggling with CSing, you're probably hitting the wrong minions. Always look at your caster minions when it comes to CSing. So what ShowMaker like absolutely nails in this particular vault is he nails his reactive E's. Like his E usage so far has been absolutely stellar. He's really fast on nuking the E, throwing out the E whenever Yone goes on him. And that puts him in positions in which that Yone can never really find good quality trades onto the Leblanc. And you can see, like, I'm not really sure what Humanoid's doing. But yeah, ShowMaker is annihilating him, right? And he's building the CS advantage. You can see that it's slightly getting bigger, especially since Humanoid's forced to reset. Why is Humanoid forced to reset? Well, because ShowMaker has ult, and ShowMaker put him in a kill threat range in the sense that Humanoid wasn't really able to continue laning from that point. So fantastic play from ShowMaker, really building a small CS advantage right here over Humanoid. I think we're rocking up to about 10. And right here, I think this was an absolute blunder, right? What ShowMaker does here, but we'll see how it eventually pans out. Like he nukes the wave, he opts in for a reset, and let's see what actually happens. We're gonna speed up a little bit. Seems like Yone holds the wave. How many minions are we gonna be losing from this particular play? We do get a little bit of tempo. We do get ourselves a nice item, but we lost 3 melees. I think if he nukes the wave a little bit earlier, right? Yes, he denies Yone a few less creeps, but I think he also loses less creeps. I'm not really sure how he could have done that better. I'm pretty sure there was a way in which that he could have prevented Yone from freezing the wave and get a little bit higher value base. But maybe he wanted to get tempo for any particular place on the map, even though there weren't like a lot of things available for him. Anyway, right here's where we got to be a little bit careful. In this case, we slightly disrespect the Yone. Thankfully, we can still W backwards. And you can see that this wave state, it's a little bit too close to the turret right now. This is where it gets awkward for Leblanc. You want to get out of this particular wave state ASAP. So I think what ShowMaker should do here, he should put a lot of mental stack towards getting this wave out. And in this case, he does a great job in this trade. He combines wave clearing with finding a very nice E angle onto the Yone. And then we see that Humanoid tries to abuse the W cooldown from Leblanc, but it's back up. And we get ourselves a beautiful, beautiful pickup. Very nicely, insanely nicely tethering the E range, eventually picking up the kill upon the rel. And now we got ourselves a nice little assist. Always nice. We run Treasure Hunter in this particular game, which means that we get ourselves a very nice base, opting in for the Hextech Alternator. And this alternator is going to make our trades like go incredibly, incredibly hard. We're going to speed up the game a little bit more. And we see that we're now into a position where we're slowly rocking up towards our Ludens. And in this case, we're also like trying to get a little bit of tempo so we can potentially make a play on the map. I think one of Damwong's weaknesses is that they don't really snowball all that effectively. Like they're incredible players, but I think they sometimes get into the position where they're not really sure if they need to like drop away, sometimes can go for a dive. And that puts them in a little bit of a stalemate position because they're not that decisive. And that makes it really hard for them to like continuously build out their leads and destroy the enemy team. What ShowMaker is doing right here, he's hitting the caster minions first, mainly to make them lower and make it easier to combine CSing with trading onto the Yone. As you can see, ShowMaker's done a pretty fantastic job in this game, keeping his CS high, currently rocking up the leaderboard together with aiming. Of course, who else? And you can see that all these small individual advantages are like building out, and it gives him like full lane control. Like anything that happens potentially on the map, ShowMaker can absolutely play for. And this is the thing that we're also seeing right here is like ShowMaker, like what you see him do is like his micro is absolutely fantastic. You can see that this guy knows how to play Leblanc to the absolute best of the best. But the thing that we are like that I'm missing a little bit is that proactiveness and getting stuff done. And in this case, he's got a little bit of a tank jungler, so he doesn't really have a lot of damage to work with, especially with the rest of his team comp. I think that's also what doesn't really allow him to go for these crazy dives or crazy snowballing plays, because the damage of the team just isn't really there yet. Yeah, that makes Leblanc a pretty awkward champion to play in this particular situation. But the benefit is that Leblanc stylistically matches up really well versus the enemy team. So in this case, it wasn't really paired up with a strong 2v2 jungle, but it was actually paired up against the enemy team as a little bit of a counter. I think they blinded Yone. They also showed Renekton and Zyra. Yeah, you just play Leblanc, and then what you see is that it's really, really hard for the enemies to like ever get to you. It's really hard for the enemies to get to you. And overall, I think we're done with the lane right now. And the main thing I wanted to get at in this particular VOD review was actually ShowMaker's lane. mainly because the lane is the most interesting part of this game. The rest is not that interesting. I'd be wasting my time, I'd be wasting your time looking at it, because honestly, it was a bit of a shocker afterwards. I think both of these teams have a lot of work to do when it comes to improving their mid-game macro and decision making, and also being proactive, because otherwise the guys like BLG, HLE, Genji, they'll just run over them. Like, if this is your level of macro decision making, you're not going to cut it. It's that simple. Few things to note from this particular fault. Like, if we conclude this a little bit, what were a few things that we spotted? Well, ShowMaker's E usage was absolutely stellar. It was gorgeous. It was really, really, really good. He didn't really waste his E. He really used his E properly, reactively, and fast, which prevented Yone from being able to trade back into the LeBlanc. We also spotted that overall his trading was very reserved and very high percentage. He didn't really brute force trades. No, he only traded when the situation was actually really, really good for him. And that also caught Humanoid off guard. And because ShowMaker is a little bit of plays in burst trades, right? The D-Shield second win didn't really help up from the Yone. And he kind of forced Yone to buy no Magic Mantle, which meant that that's 400 gold invested in a stat that the Gnar, the Skarner, and the Ezreal are not really going to be hurt by. It's only the ShowMaker and the individual 1v1. So that's also good if we can like invest Yone, let Yone invest into that. That's going to mean that we're going to be getting more bang for our buck. Another few things that we spotted in this particular vault is that ShowMaker actually initially, I think that he just rushed Ludens. That was really wild to me. And that showed to me that he has a very unique way of building and going at Leblanc, is he doesn't go for this Dark Seal, mainly because it's not solo queue, right? If it's solo queue, go Dark Seal, because you're going to be snowballing the heck out of it, right? But what ShowMaker does is ShowMaker just fully invests into Ludens, and then his Luden spike is so massive that he can just absolutely take over, because Yone's spike is so much more expansive, as you guys can see. He still needs the Borg, he still needs his boots, he's got no Magic Mantle. So ShowMaker's almost at 2 items whenever Yone hits his Blade of the Rune King. That's what makes this matchup also so good for LeBlanc, because you spike so much earlier. So this was absolutely grateful to watch. Look at ShowMaker's trading patterns, look at his ability usage, look at the way that he plays the waves. It was incredibly sexy. He set himself up for success, kept really high CS scores. And yeah, if you want to like take this to your own solo queue, right? The Yones that you're going to be facing are also not on the level of Humanoid, and they're going to make a lot more mistakes. This is a pretty easy matchup for LeBlanc. Should definitely, especially after first reset, right? Once you get to like level 5, level 6, that's when you really start be able to nuke the Yone and get like massive leads in this lane. So if you guys have any questions about this game or anything else, let me know. Happy to get back to you. And there's going to be a lot more Worlds content coming up on this channel. A lot of full reviews, a lot of cool stuff. So let me know what you guys want to see. I'm happy to break it down.